Good morning. Good morning. Is that working? Good morning, Tony Lau. Thank you for visiting. I hope you come back. Even today. Good morning. Now, remember, look at the picture up there. I was wondering why Jeff picked out this one for me, and then I realized if I shave my head, that's exactly what I would look like. So that may be the reason he picked this particular lesson. Let's see, we've got, gentlemen, there's, I think, about 2 or 3 pictures, and then a video following, according to the pastor. You got him? Sure. I'll take the photos. There you go. All right. Okay, that's the Mamertine prison. That's in Rome. They have a little sign out front that's where Paul was imprisoned. Now, the sign also says that Peter was there, but it's highly unlikely because Peter wasn't of the same caliber as Paul, according to those that have observed that, because that particular prison or that particular dungeon, as it were, is something that was only used for people that were awaiting a trial or they were waiting execution. Now, as you look at it, you can see that it could otherwise be a very uncomfortable place. Is there another photo there too? And yeah, that's it. Now, there's an upper room, and that is its only source of light, is that shaft there, only source of light. The only reason they're able to do a photograph of it is, of course, with artificial light in taking the picture. Is there another picture there too or not? I don't know. No, not the video yet, no. Okay, all right, if you'll go back to that first one, I'd appreciate it, thank you. So you can see how uncomfortable. The only accommodation there for the most part would be that stone, and I guess you sit on it. But what we were told, or what I've read about it, is that the first century Rome prison is really, is a dungeon. And of course, it was very challenging. And like I said, it wasn't used for punishment. It was just like a holding tank. So they didn't have a well-run, organized prison. Excuse me. There was no meal service. They didn't provide anything in the way of bedding. They didn't provide anything in the way of water. And they didn't really provide anything of a sanitary nature. So like I said, the prison wasn't, why is this, what am I doing wrong? Anyway, it was just a holding place and a waiting for trial or execution. If you wanted food and water, which of course you would, then you had to make your own arrangements. You either had to bring it yourself or you had to have friends or family bring it in. And I suppose in Paul's case, also writing instruments and writing material. If you wanted a place to sleep, if you wanted something comfortable, you had to have that brought in by someone other than yourself. What else? As far as the convenience of a toilet, if we may use that term loosely, the most that you could hope for is a clean bucket and the cooperation of those that might otherwise help you dispose of same. Anyway, it's in the midst of that. And so the only reason I'm showing that to you is to say that when you think about it, were you or I in that capacity or located there, how terribly worried would we be about anybody else? But you think that Paul is sitting there, not only is he concerned about when he's sitting there drafting his letter to the Ephesians, and he did more than one letter. He didn't just write, there's something called the prison letters, I think. So he didn't just write to the Ephesians, he wrote to others too, and other books of the Bible, or what we consider books of the Bible, were also written to him by him in prison. But when you think about his handicap, as it were, we're pretty much convinced that there was something bad that had happened to his eyes. So not only was he suffering from the inconvenience and the horrible accommodations there, but at the same time, he was doing his writing of these epistles that we have with us today. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. So sometimes when we maybe think of ourselves as being inconvenienced or something bad is happening, you can always look at that and say, well, of course, it could be worse. So Paul is writing there in Ephesians, and he's asking, he says, therefore, not to be discouraged because of my as I should. Now, what he was concerned about when he was writing to the Ephesians, or what he was thinking about, was because they had a pride and shame type of culture, and he was very much worried that they would view him in a lesser light or look down upon him or consider it because he was in a shameful situation. But he was trying to encourage them to not to think in those terms. So Paul in the Ephesians, he wrote to help the Ephesians remember their identity and their role in God's kingdom and his plans. So what we found over the past few weeks as we have studied, by the way, I have the same policy today that I had in earlier times, and that is, do not address me as teacher, do not say that I am teaching. I am simply sharing. The reason that I say that is somewhere in Scripture, and I've lost the verse, it says that teachers are held to a higher standard. I'm having enough trouble living up to the standard that I should. I don't need it aggravated and compounded by having to live up to the standard of a teacher. So I just want to share that with you. So the past events, the things that we have seen up to date, as far as the Ephesians were concerned, I guess that the Christianity had made quite an impact there, and so there were ongoing persecutions and temptations to go back to the attractiveness of their previous life. And he was concerned that they might be tempted to lose heart. We know that on one or two of his visits, he had an opportunity to view Ephesus. And before I do that, though, let me, maybe you could play that video if you would, and get an idea, just a little bit of a taste of what Ephesus was all about. That's nighttime in Ephesus. Maybe it didn't come up or not. I don't know. No? Okay, well, anyway.
It was home to some of the most magnificent temples in the ancient world. Temples built to honor Artemis, Hadrian, Serapis, and the Roman Emperor Domitian. And surrounded by rampant idol and emperor worship, a small band of Christians formed their own church in the city of Ephesus. Maintaining their faith in the midst of this pagan culture was anything but easy. Today, only ruins remain of those once spectacular structures. But the story of Ephesus lives on, continuing to hold both historical and spiritual significance. Join us as we explore the messages of Jesus to the 7 churches of Revelation and discover God's messages to the church of the past and the church of today. The 7 churches of Revelation, Ephesus.
Thank you. Ephesus itself was a population of approximately 250,000. That would be about 2 times the size of Thousand Oaks. Thousand Oaks right now is, I think, 125,600, something thereabouts. Anyway, thanks to the limitation of allowing houses to be built in Thousand Oaks, we have been able to suppress growth here in Thousand Oaks, as opposed to what has taken place in the valley and other parts of California. Is it good? Is it bad? I'll let you decide. So, the past events of what we've seen here as far as Ephesus was concerned is you remember that they were pretty much dominated and controlled, and culturally, business-wise, and what was the other one here? Their politics also, all kind of circulated around the particular gods that they had. And that one particular god, which was Artemis, she was the Greek goddess Artemis. That was theirs. Rome had their own interpretation of that, and if you remember, that was Diana. And then that makes you think about that song, Please Stay With Me, Diana. And then we wonder, does Satan really write the music? I don't know. I'm going down a rabbit hole there. Never mind. So anyway,